Welcome to Sports Geek, the podcast built for sports digital and sports business professionals. And now, here's your host, who is at the forefront of the sports tech revolution, exploring innovations like wearable technology, smart stadiums, and real-time data analytics, Sean Callanan.
Thanks, DJ Joel. I'm Sean Callanan, and welcome to episode 369 of Sports Geek. In this week's episode, I chat with Josh Barney, the CEO of Seed Conference, which will be held in Las Vegas. As I mentioned, I'm Sean Callanan. You might be listening to this for the very first time. Thank you very much for joining us. You might be doing so at sportsgeekhq.com, or you might be listening on your favourite podcast platform, whether that be Apple, Spotify, my favourite, Pocket Casts. And remember, if you're able to, I very much appreciate it if you could leave a review on your favourite platform or a like and those kind of things. It is very much appreciated. 150 reviews in over 10 countries helps us get listenership all over the world. Very appreciative of the audience, and a big part of my audience, I have to say, is thanks to my connection and association with Seed Conference, which continues in this interview and this catch-up. I catch up with Josh Barney, CEO of the Seed Conference, to talk about Seed Las Vegas. Seed is returning to Las Vegas, so Josh is taking the Seed Circus to Las Vegas. In this interview, we talk about some of the new tracks, how you should go about attending the conference, and also how you go about implementing technology. Pretty much we're a couple of geeks talking, and that's pretty much what the Seed Conference is. So if you work in sports technology, in the digital space, in marketing, in ticketing, in sponsorship, if you work in data analytics, and if you also work in the original space, the original track for Seed, the OGs in that venue, technology and security space, Seed Conference is the place to be. So I hope you enjoy my chat with Josh Barney, CEO of Seed Conference. Very happy to welcome back good mate of mine. You know him from this podcast, and you also will know him from the Seed Conference. Back for a third time, Josh Barney from Seed Conference. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Always glad to be here.
I've got to start handing out like blazers or something for 3Time, because 3Time is a prestigious company. Maybe it'll be a hoodie. Maybe blazers aren't the Sports Geek thing. Wanted to sort of catch up. I mean, we've caught up a couple of times since last year in Salt Lake, the reboot of Seed. But want to sort of, before we look at this year, want to sort of look back at 2023. Rebooting Seed Conference, coming off of COVID break, and now under your helm. What was it like? Did it match what you were hoping for?
Honestly, that was actually one of the funnest things that I've had the experience of doing, especially because what Seed is to a lot of people is that connecting point between them. And just seeing friends that I hadn't been able to see for years was just the first part. That opening night event that we did, and we had the queue where everybody was getting their badge and then filtering, and just being able to say hi to everybody. Just that piece alone was fantastic.
It was, and then you went into conference organizer mode, and the next day, I'm sure you were plugging in things into stages and making sure mics were working, and you got up on stage to do the welcome, in the heat that was beaming down in Salt Lake City. But the overall conference, from an attendees point of view and people returning and new folk, was it what you envisaged when you took on the challenge?
It was. I walked into it not knowing what to expect. I mean, my background was not in this. And so when we actually, when the light went green and everything was going, one of the coolest parts about it from an event organizer perspective was seeing all of the people, the hard work that they put into it for content, for even the lengthy travel that they put in. Really cool. We had some really neat content sessions that went along with it well. One of the things that I asked people was, specifically to think of how they're driving value for the community and some of those things. And some of the content, the feedback that we got on it was those sessions that had focuses like that were actually some of the ones that the people loved the most. So from that perspective, we got about 450 people out there that first year back with not ideal timing on where it was, positioned in that. And, that's the hard piece in coming right out for the first time. But yeah, we had such an energy, and the evening events that we had and the tours, those all worked out really good and were exciting and fun.
I mean, the best example I have, and I've told the story a few times, that I went to the session with Brian from Populous and Jeb from COSM in the morning. And when I go to a conference, whether it is SEED or any other conference, I always try to go to I don't know what this session is. I'm going to go to this session. I want to find out more. And they were talking about this building of precincts and, how a company like Populous is designing not just stadiums but precincts around it. And then to find out about COSM, because until I turned up, I did not know what COSM was. And that night it was, you've got to go into the SEED app and RSVP, whether you're going to the Delta Center or COSM. And I went to that session and went, oh, wow, this is going to be cool. And I've learned enough. And it just shows the word of mouth and the community that SEED is. I think, I was talking to you and there might have been, in the teens, the people that RSVP'd in the morning, again, same as me, not knowing what COSM was. And by the end of the day, everyone goes, hey, where are you going? Oh, we're going to COSM. What's this COSM thing? What's this COSM thing? And for those who don't know, the technology that COSM in their sphere-like, arenas and facilities, that night, it was one amazing demonstration. But to see, seasoned sports technology executives all pulling out their phones, all taking grabs, all picking their jaws up off the floor, was, that's what SEAT is. But it was just the organic nature of that event for everyone to come along to was, for me, it was a highlight of SEAT last year.
Yeah. Honestly, COSM was that hidden gem that I had been introduced to them, and I had been able to go over and experience it just in one of kind of the little executive things that they had done. And it wowed me. And I was like, this has to be a part of this. And they obviously wanted to participate in the conference as well. But it was a part of kind of what I'm trying to achieve with SEAT, in the fact that in these venues, whether it be a basketball game, football game, whatever it is, we want people to have that feeling of I was there, so that the next morning, if they're at the water cooler, or if they're at school and they're talking with their friends, they can go in and say, have you seen this? Or if somebody can bring that up, they say, hey, I was there. That's what I want to start incorporating in some of those things, because that's what makes, this makes all of this kind of special, is when you have those moments.
Yeah. And so the only other thing, from last year, which was a success, from my point of view, was doing the Sports Geek Amplify series and partnering with you. So I got to have some really cool conversations with sponsors and partners, some of them completely new to that audience. And I was able to introduce them to my audience, but then also, people were warmed up. They knew Alex from Trajectory, they knew Jason, they knew the guys from SeatGeek, and to be able to come up to them. So, I'm really thankful we're able to partner and develop that model. I think it's a model that works quite well for conferences. Looking forward to doing it again, this year, and sort of diving into some of the partners that are going to be part of SEAT 2024, which takes us to SEAT 2024. Look at that seamless segue. It didn't even have to be scripted in front of me. SEAT 2024 is going to be in Las Vegas, and as someone who's just come back from 7 days in Las Vegas around the Super Bowl, which was amazing, and the city was buzzing. Why Las Vegas? Why SEAT there in 2024, June 23 to 26? So I get the dates in, which I'll do multiple times. But why Las Vegas?
Yeah, well, it really, for me, is kind of that going back to the roots of how I got involved with SEAT to begin with. So I spent my time working for the Utah Jazz for 12 years, and we did a renovation of the arena in 2017. So in 2016, I went to SEAT and used that as my opportunity to start networking with people, obviously, that do the same thing that I did, and found the right partners, found the technologies that we were interested in to create the experience there. And it was 2016 Las Vegas. And some of the coolest things that I've ever done at a conference, I did at that point in time. I mean, went to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, did the Richard Petty experience, the exotic cars. There was a lot of memorable stuff that ended up happening for me there. And it, for me, is one of those things where when we were looking for the next host city, there's a lot going on in Vegas at this moment in time that are really special from a sports and entertainment standpoint. Obviously, with all of the movement we've seen with sports, and then with the, the coming of the Sphere and, the F1 and all those things just kind of make this a special moment in time for Las Vegas. And it felt right. And so, yeah, we were really excited when we were able to come to something on that.
It is a city that has changed from a sports point of view in the last decade, because there was that reticence from sports to move in there. And then, the Vegas Knights were came in first and sort of broke the market a little bit. And now it's like everyone's putting their hand up. And the F1 moving there and having their Grand Prix there. It is a town that is welcoming. You did talk before about Seat and some of the learnings and lessons. You're like, oh, what should we do? One of the things you have done for this year is the June 23, the Sunday start, which is more traditional with Seat. People being able to fly in, be a little bit more casual on the Sunday. I know that Mike Morris of the world will probably hit the links on that day, and then check in with everybody. That was a conscious decision and sort of feedback from people from last year.
Oh, absolutely. That was one of the things that I knew that I was going to have to do with this event was really listen to the people on what works for them schedule wise, where, the summer's always a hard time with whether it's personal time or seasons getting started or whatever. So we made the decision to move out of July specifically due to the amount of stuff that was going on there, move to the last week of June so that we were past some of the championships and some other things there, and then put it at a point in time where it's easier for people to travel. So that Sunday to Tuesday, Wednesday, obviously is a better fit than what we ended up having this first year. But that was totally based upon feedback.
And for the people who don't know, I think this will be my, 13th seat. When being there in Vegas, and what I always find fascinating and amazing is going to a seat, and it's always great catching up with people that I know that I've met in previous iterations and have long time attendees, but having first time people turn up, and even that was happening last year. Here you are rebooting and trying to re-engage the community, but still the need is there for technology folk, data and BI folk, digital folk, people in the whole fan experience spectrum to go, how do I connect? Same to the problem that you had in 2016. How do I connect with my colleagues? What are those problems? How are they being solved? It's a constant conversation piece in my podcast with how do you reach out to different people? I will get to a question. What are some of the topics? Just sort of run through the tracks for Seat so people know what they can expect.
Yeah. So one of the things that I obviously said when Seat came back this last year is that I wanted it to have a look and feel that felt comfortable to people, but have them know as well that the world changed with COVID especially. And so with that, I'm a very blessed period of time where I have the ability to go in and adapt with what the obvious needs are of the space. So we went in and said, we're coming back kind of the same, feel comfortable, we're coming back this way. But this year we're going to make a few changes on that to kind of adapt with what the needs are there. So there's always been the 3 tracks that we've had: the venue, tech and security, the data and BI, and digital marketing. And this year we're going to do a little bit different with digital marketing. We're going to rebrand that one to be digital sponsorship and ticketing.
And I'm standing and giving a round of applause right now. Show me the money is what I would be saying, because getting the sponsorship and ticketing folk there, because they're also across the data BI piece. But yeah, I think that's a really good, widening and being more inclusive of people that have those roles.
Yeah, we wanted it definitely to have that. The underlying topic of driving revenue with technology, so that we change the mindset of technology being a cost center and moving it into the mindset of, technology is what drives the revenue. And then the other thing that we're doing that's a little bit different is we're adding a fourth track this year that's called fan experience. And this one I'm using to be more, with the three previous ones, those have been more of your deep dives into subject matter. And fan experience, I want to pull it out a little bit and give you a broader view of things. So we'll have more case studies in there. We want it to be where the person from the partnerships team, the person from the IT team, the data and analytics and marketing person can sit in the same room and see the big picture and then kind of actualize the harmony of what it takes to pull some of these things off. And we want to do it in a fashion to where it's scalable. So we want people to be able to walk away with something actionable and not just have a wish list.
But it is, that's really important. You want people to come away inspired, and like, it is great to dive in on the ones and zeros and or the, or how do you slice and dice the data, or, where should things be plugged in, if you get into the nitty gritty of the key tracks. But it is you want to come away and go, oh, I saw, this MBA team do this from idea to implementation. And it wasn't just a marketing thing. And it wasn't just a data thing. It was, we need the tech rolled out. We need the data people to be able to get the right view of our data. And then, the digital folk have to go and execute it. And the sponsorship folk have to go and, sell it or sell the ticketing. So that, it's hard to say, pick it up and lift it and say we're going to do it. But I find it valuable when someone can come away and say, oh, we know it can be done because they've done it. And I also, because I've met them, I can reach out to them and say, oh, we had a pain point here. How did you guys get past it?
Yeah. And honestly, that's one of those things as well as from the conversation piece that, so often I'd been to conferences and that, and you always see what the big, robust, brand new stadium or whatever looks like. But there's times when you're a small market team or a smaller venue, and it's like, how do I do that in my building? How do I do that in the environment I'm in? And that's one of the things that I'm definitely trying to bring is an opportunity for people to see things that they'll be able to take back and do something with it. So every year that we get to see each other, we're helping people mature in their process of, how their growth is inside of their org as well as professionally as well.
And the good thing is you're getting it from stage, but then the biggest part, and best part is the community around Seat. So it's not just, yes, take lots and lots of notes, and that's great, but the stepping away and, going and meeting someone you haven't met, or meeting someone in a different league, or, asking a panelist, hey, can we connect? I'd love to set up a call later to understand that piece. Like, that is so valuable. And I remember last year, talking with the data and BI team from the Pistons, because I know the digital guys. I'm like, oh, how's Mike doing? Who's been at C previously? And they go, oh, we didn't know Mike has been to C previously, but they were there, digging in on the data track. But it's making those connections, post Seat that make the community what it is.
Yeah, and honestly, that's one of the things I'm working on right now. And this is actually probably the best time, to give, kind of my own Woj bomb, I guess. But we have a new Seat app out there because I don't want it to be just a single event app. I want it to be kind of that community platform where people can engage with each other all the time. So that once you've gone to Seat or whomever and you connected with someone, you've got a space to interact with those people after the fact. And we've created groups around subject matter, and we're trying to make it to where if you have that moment that you need to interact with somebody, that you have an easier way to interact with those people that way. And again, how many people, by a raise of hands on that first night, were new to Seat. There was a lot of people that showed up that were brand new. And it's kind of, it's fun to watch that community grow because I was on the receiving end of it back in 2016. And now I have that chance to kind of help people do that in their path.
Well, that's amazing. As long as there's no karaoke sessions in Vegas this time, that's something for off podcast. But if anyone wants to ask me about what happened at Las Vegas in 2016 and karaoke sessions, slide into my DMs. I'm happy to share it. Let's just say, some things in Vegas don't get told on podcasts, but they will get told at conferences. So how can people get involved if someone says, "Hey, I want to attend. What do I tell my boss? What are the kind of things that we need to do?" What are you telling a prospective attendee on what they should do and why they should come to SEAT?
Yeah, well, first of all, the single source of truth is our website. So you can go to seatconference.com. It will then link you in over into kind of seeing all of the greater content and community pieces that we have in there. But really, the content that we're trying to curate and work on right now are relevant topics that people are talking about constantly. And it's not just, the buzzword of AI, but like, how is AI applicable in a few of these things, not only from like the grab and go type of, convenience store options that are in stadiums now, but how do we use it as a tool to help us with marketing, all these other things. So we're trying to take topics and, again, make them relevant to what you're doing. And obviously, there's a ton of these companies that have been working in the space that are innovating, that they're bringing some kind of new lifeblood to the space. And, we're really trying to get a lot of that out in front of people so that they can kind of see what's new out in the world. What are people doing? And so, following us on LinkedIn and, all of the social stuff, Seat Conferences, pretty much everywhere on those platforms. But really, we're trying to get people to sign up through the website, and that gets you in kind of for everything within that app. And then you've got everything at your fingertips that way.
And the thing is, they can register. Tell us a little bit about the venue that SEAT will be at and some of the opportunities, because obviously you book and then you can book the hotel room through SEAT.
Yeah. So going to seatconference.com and going to the event in there as well, you'll see that we're at Resorts World down in Vegas, which is really cool because it is one of the newer hotels that's on the Strip there. And it's very technologically advanced, which is a real neat piece to this as well, because that obviously is in harmony with what we try and do with SEAT too. And they've been really good to work with. Honestly, the team there has been fantastic. But we'll have rooms at the Conrad for everybody in there that are $95 a night. And then resort fees on top of that. But we have those book of rooms in there, which I actually had to just go and expand those out here this last weekend because we had already booked out what we had in there. So book your hotel as quick as you can in there as well, because it is a popular thing and they're going quickly. But we have that whole space in there that they have in the conference room space to kind of work and operate in that space. And we've got some brands that are working with us from the standpoint of some activations, some things that are going on in the evening hours, which we'll be announcing as we go along with this, that are actually going to be really cool and a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I was actually at Resorts World a couple of weeks ago on the red carpet for NFL Honors. So it's the same, same venue for there. And yeah, it was a super nice hotel. So they're the things, talk to your boss. If you need a letter of recommendation, you can always ask me. I will send you one, or Josh will do the same. But yeah, the goal is, if you are attending, is you get to mix and mingle with the best in your field. You get to find out what everyone else is doing, and I don't want to steal something from the New Heights podcast. There's no dumb questions. Like, you can ask any question and we'll get answers, because, like you said before, Josh, everyone's on their journey at different. And you'll find someone that's a little bit further. They would have had that dumb question previously, and so it's not. There's no harm in asking it. So it's a terrific learning exercise. And then, like you said, if you've done really cool things in the fan experience space, in digital, in data, if you rolled out really great tech, let Josh know. Like, we want to showcase the SEAT community on what they're doing. And that might be just so you know, and you can point people to it, but also they might end up being a great panelist or discussing, that case study.
Yeah, amen. Completely agree with that. And you can find me, my email address, I'll just throw it out here, is josh@seatconference.com. Email me any of those things that you're working on, that you've done. If you've got a case study that we can then kind of go in and use with our steering committees, awesome. All the better. But yeah, this is again that moment where we can show people what's going on in your world and how it might be applicable to other people and some of the cool things that you've done. So.
And as we're recording this, we're in pre-production for Sports Geek Amplify series, that will be presented by a seat. It's a bit like the music is going and the music's about to stop and there's only so many chairs. So if you're a partner and you're interested in reaching both my audience but the seat audience, Josh is taking names and passing them on to me as we get into pre-production. I'm really looking forward to the conversations and sort of diving deep and, both giving the audience a preview of what those people and those products do, but then also, again, showcasing what they've done with people in the seat community. Because it's not really, hey, here's what our product does. It's like, how did your product get implemented? Who's using it? How did they get past it? That's the bit that I like doing with Sports Geek Amplify. So, again, if you're a sports technology provider and you want to be part of that, reach out to Josh or I. That series is going to come out soon.
Yeah, amen. That was the one thing, too, from the podcast side that we got a ton of feedback as well, just from the exposure piece of that into new areas, as well as, we were planting content that followed up behind the podcast at the actual event as well. So it gave great opportunities for that continuity in kind of telling your story on the podcast and then talking about what you've done at the event. So it was a really nice kind of circular way to do that.
Definitely. And, and it was a little bit impromptu, and that's how we both like to roll. But like you asking me to interview David Michael at Seat, and I think it was as I arrived to hit the tarmac, and you're like, can you interview him? I said, I'd love to. But then making that a live interview, even if it was like ham radio and I was bringing up DJ Joel on my mic and did it say, everyone, you're on a live interview. I love doing it. And it was a really relaxed, I think, David was really open and generous with both his knowledge and his time on stage. We are, Josh and I are planning to run that back and land a guest that will impress because I love the format, and so I'm looking forward to doing that again in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So if you've never been to a live podcast show, it's a lot like someone talking on stage, but it's just the theatre of the mind. You've got to think like, oh, that's right, I'm just walking around the lake while I'm listening to this, as you normally would when you're listening to a podcast. So that's planned. So we'll go through those through those dates again. Kicks off June 23, Sunday. Fly in on a Sunday. Have a cruisy day. Check out the strip. Get in early. Ping Mike Morris for bookings on the links. We know he will be out there. And then, networking and catching up and getting your badges and meeting up with everyone on that Sunday night, and then get into things good and proper on the Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, the Sunday night, I'll just say we actually have this place on top of the Zook club called Rose Rooftop. So it's actually outside overlooking the strip. So with music and food and entertainment, that type of stuff, it's going to be a lot of fun to kick off the event that way.
Sounds very Instagrammable, which is what you want when you're at a conference in Las Vegas. As long as you stop doing Instagrams by about 11 o'clock. You don't want any Instagrams going out after 11 o'clock. Phones away, and what happens after 11 o'clock stays off social media. But, I'm looking forward to it. For those who are going to travel far, like myself, it's worth the travel. And definitely for everyone in the US, Vegas is an easy place to get to. And looking forward to seeing Seat be bigger and better in 2024.
Yep. Amen. Folks, looking forward to having everybody come and everybody coming and being intentional about what they do. That's one of the things that's awesome.
I mean, that's a really great place to close, because that's what you did talk about last year, that intention And I think that's how you opened, if I remember correctly. Your opening keynote was talking about intention and, going there with, yes, the intention, I'm going to have fun. That's what I normally do when I head to a seat. But also the intention of I am going to authentically connect. I had a guest recently that said she didn't like the network word, which I'm now tending to agree, even though I've networked for the last 15 years pretty hard. But authentically connect, which I think describes Seat really, really well. But if you have that intention of, I've got this problem, like if you literally just go and say, here's this problem at work, this nut I cannot crack, that's, if you're saying to your boss, I need to go to this conference, why? It's like, this problem, I guarantee you, and this is, Sports Geek guarantee, Josh hasn't put me up to this, I guarantee you'll come away from Seat having the breaking the back of that problem. It won't be completely solved. Someone's not going to hand you a silver bullet. They might. There might be vendors that say, here's our solution. But the thing is, you will actually have some answers that you didn't have. And then, that's, to me, that should be the value. That should be the reason why, this is where I'm going. Yes, professional development's great and networking's great and having lots of fun is awesome. But if you can go, I'm going to go here and we're going to fix this problem. And again, I love the tweak that you've made around the revenue focus. You go, we've got this problem. And by the way, I've come away and our ticketing sales have gone up by this, or our sponsorship, we've fixed our sponsorship flow so they're selling it. Again, sort of looking at a conference to go, what's going to be the ROI of my conference? Like, well, that's going to be your ROI, fixing that problem. And that all comes down to intention.
Yeah. And that's what I talk about all the time with stuff is, we need to move beyond checking boxes. We need to move beyond, doing things just for the sake of doing them in there. And when you're rolling out a new deployment, if it's a Wi-Fi deployment, what are you doing with that versus just saying, hey, we need to have good Wi-Fi in here, and getting people to really start to think on what that means for the fan experience that they have in there. That's where I come from when I say be intentional. It's do things because you have a purpose in doing that.
Well, you're a man that has lots of purpose and lots of intention and bounces out of bed every day to make Seat better, and I'm very thankful for it. For me, it was missed, and it's great that it is back and continues to thrive and grow. And like I said, this will be, I think the calculations are right. You were talking before, the 19th year of Seat.
I think from its inception, I think this is the 19th year that it's been in. Yeah.
Yeah, so it does show both the longevity in market, the width and breadth of the community, this next phase is only going to see it grow bigger and better. Josh, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I will share all the links to your LinkedIn, to seatconference.com, and to also Sports Geek Amplify. If people want to listen to last year's season presented by Seat, where we chat to some very smart folks. They will all be links in the show notes. This podcast will also end up being on seatconference.com because we're really good at sharing our content backwards and forwards. Thanks for coming on and looking forward to catching up with you soon.
Thank you again for having me. Always happy to be here. You've been a great friend and champion for what this is.
Looking to help your digital or sponsorship team? Book in for a Pick My Brain session with Sean Callanan to help your team level up. Book now at sportsgeekhq.com/pickmybrain.
Thanks again to Josh Barney. Really do appreciate both our friendship and partnership at Seat Conference. Looking forward to producing the Sports Geek Amplify series with some Seat Conference partners. And what I want to do for Seat 2024, remember, you can go to seatconference.com. It's June 23 to 26. Vegas is a great location for Seat Conference. And as I mentioned, I may have had a few funny stories from the last time we were in Las Vegas. Send me a DM, Sean Callanan, to find out more. This will be the 19th year of Seat, which is phenomenal, and I really do appreciate Josh carrying on the Seat legacy and building the Seat community. It was founded by Christine Stoffel, another really good friend of mine. So I am going to have a Sports Geek Pick My Brain offer for all Seat attendees this year. And so all you have to do to qualify is send me a link that says, hey, Sean, I'm going to Seat. and you can claim your secretly discounted 50% off booking link for a Pick My Brain session, which is great, either if it's a one-on-one session with you talking about your team, your career, your strategy, those kind of things, or working with your team overall, whether it be a brainstorming session from a content point of view or a little bit more 30,000-foot view strategy session looking at how you're working across all the different platforms. Lots of options in those Pick My Brain sessions. I really do jumping on calls and helping solve problems. I sort of go with that digital Navy SEAL mode in those sessions. So it's a really good time for both educating your team and working on new ideas. But if you ever want to pick my brain, that's why I created it, and that's why it's called a Pick My Brain offer. Until next episode, my name is Sean Callanan, and you've been listening to Sports Geek.
Do you get Sports Geek news? Sean Callanan analyzes the latest sports business articles for you weekly. Sign up at sportsgeekhq.com. Want to help drive more revenue from your digital efforts? Book a time for a call. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/phone call.